Top 10 female dirty weaknesses every man must know. Stoicism? Old Stoic wisdom? She's not drawn to the man who shouts the loudest, but to the one whose silence holds the most weight. Unknown. Beneath the confident smile, the sharp eyes, and the independent demeanour many women wear, there often hides a softer core. Not weakness, but tenderness. A part of her that she doesn't reveal to just anyone. It's not about breaking through some wall. It's about being the kind of man who never needs to force his way in. The truth is, her strength is real, but so is her desire to feel seen. Beyond appearances, beyond performance. And here's the part most men miss. It's not looks, wealth, or bravado that reach her. It's presence. The modern world shouts advice at men. Get the car, the job, the status. But those things might impress her friends, not her soul. A woman is most deeply stirred not by what you show, but by what you know. The space between your words, the calm beneath your energy, the way you notice what others don't. That's where real seduction lives, where true masculine gravity begins. The Stoic man doesn't entertain her tests. He doesn't react to the chaos. He anchors himself in certainty, patience, and emotional clarity. And that is the rare force that causes her to lean in. It bypasses her logic and speaks straight to her instincts. She finds herself wondering about you, thinking about you, feeling pulled in, even when you've said almost nothing. So stop chasing. Let the world do what it does, but hold your center. Because when a man holds his frame deeply and quietly, the right woman won't just notice. She'll feel something she can't explain, but won't be able to ignore. 1. The power of a man's touch. She may walk with poise, speak with confidence, and seem like she doesn't need anyone. But beneath that composed exterior lies a world few men ever earn the right to touch. And I mean that literally. There is a hidden trigger in every woman, no matter how independent she claims to be, and that trigger is the right kind of touch. Not a needy touch, not an impulsive one, but a grounded, intentional, masculine touch delivered with calm purpose and quiet strength. It's not about seduction, it's about energy. As the philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, the heart has its reasons, which reason does not know. And nothing proves this more than the effect of a well-timed touch. Science confirms what the wise already knew. In 2013, a study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships revealed that even the lightest physical contact can spike oxytocin levels in a woman's brain, the very hormone responsible for trust, emotional bonding, and intimacy. That means a subtle touch can bypass every wall she's put up and slip straight into her nervous system, igniting something ancient and instinctual. She might not consciously register it, but her body remembers. And more importantly, it responds. It could be as small as guiding her with a firm yet gentle hand through a crowded space, or brushing her arm while sharing a deep laugh. These aren't accidents, they're deliberate, rare moments of presence. The reason most men fail is because they rush. They grab, grope, or fidget with nervous hands trying to impress. But what they don't understand is that real power is silent. It is restraint that builds tension. It is not touching that makes her anticipate it. The Stoic man, the grounded man, does not use touch to get something. He is not trying to score points or trigger desire. He is fully in control of himself, of the moment, and of the space between them. When he does touch, it's not about the touch itself. It's about the intention behind it. That intention, that presence, is what speaks louder than words. This is why, even if she doesn't show it, she starts to associate him with strength, security, and stillness. He doesn't need to say much. His energy fills the room. His silence creates curiosity. And when his hand finally meets hers, it feels like gravity, like something inevitable and magnetic. She feels safe, yet excited, calm, yet alert. This is the paradox of masculine energy, powerful, but never overpowering. A man who truly understands this principle doesn't touch often, but when he does, it lingers, not on her skin, but in her mind. She replays it. She wonders about it. She wants more, not just of the touch, but of him. because that moment reminded her of something rare, true presence. And in a world full of men chasing attention, the man who becomes the source of calm stands out like a lighthouse in the storm. So remember this: stillness is the key, as Ryan Holiday wrote. And in the art of attraction, it is your stillness, not your words, that will make her lean in. Drop a comment below. A real man's touch speaks louder than words. If this wisdom spoke to something inside you, hit that like button, share this with a brother who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more timeless Stoic truths about love, power, and masculine mastery. 2. The forbidden effect. The forbidden effect is one of the most underestimated forces in human attraction, yet it's rooted in one of the oldest psychological truths: people chase what feels rare. As Robert Cialdini once stated through his scarcity principle, opportunities seem more valuable to us when their availability is limited. This isn't just marketing psychology, it's primal. A woman, no matter how strong or independent, is deeply drawn to what she can't easily possess. The man who is always available, constantly initiating contact, and endlessly giving without pause may seem sweet at first, but slowly, his presence becomes background noise, predictable, overly familiar, and in that familiarity, desire begins to fade. Now contrast that with a man who is centered, who moves with deliberate steps, who has a life that breathes with purpose. He's not ghosting her, he's just not orbiting around her universe, and that difference, however subtle, creates a magnetic pull. He becomes the storm she can't predict, the flame just out of reach, and that space between them becomes intoxicating. Not because he played games, but because he played his role as a man grounded in mission, not emotion. In today's world, where instant access is everywhere, the man who values his time, who doesn't rush to respond, who chooses instead of chases, becomes rare, and rare is irresistible. This isn't about being aloof or distant to manipulate her. It's about having a backbone, a spine made of principle, not people-pleasing. The Stoic man doesn't retreat to create longing. He remains still because his center doesn't move for validation, and that stillness is what makes her lean in. Real men don't prove because they are already proven. When a man is secure enough to walk away, not as a tactic but as a truth, he communicates value without saying a word. His silence speaks volumes, and his presence echoes even in absence. In that space, a woman doesn't feel rejected. She feels intrigued, because the Stoic man's distance isn't a wall, it's a mirror, reflecting his self-worth. And in that reflection, she sees something she doesn't see in other men, a man who doesn't need her, but could choose her. That's the difference that makes all the difference. Gentlemen, if this resonates with you, comment below. I don't chase, I attract. And share your thoughts. Have you ever noticed how your silence made more impact than your words? Comment below to lock it in. I don't chase, I attract. 3. Why drama keeps her hooked. Most men still cling to the idea that what women crave most is peace, routine, and predictability, but that's a dangerous illusion. Yes, a woman wants safety, but only if it awakens her emotionally. Because when safety becomes static, when comfort turns into boredom, attraction begins to rot from the inside. Understand this truth now. Women are not wired to fall in love with routine. They fall for sensation, for contrast, for the waves between comfort and challenge. The man who gives her only peace becomes invisible. The man who stirs her soul while staying grounded becomes unforgettable. This is not about drama for drama's sake. It's about emotional movement. As the Stoics said, you must master yourself before you can lead others. And the man who masters contrast without chaos becomes the one who captures her imagination, not just her attention. Imagine this. One moment he makes her laugh until her stomach hurts, and the next he confronts her with a truth she needed to hear. He doesn't disappear like a boy trying to play games, but neither does he become a dull, open book. There's mystery in him, depth, certainty. He keeps her guessing, not because he's erratic, but because he's real. Psychology confirms this too. Dopamine, the chemical of desire, spikes when emotions rise and fall. That's why people get hooked on stories, on music, on anything that takes them on a ride, and relationships are no different. Emotional contrast isn't manipulation, it's magnetism. It's what makes her feel alive. Robert Greene nailed it when he said, "Presence and absence must be balanced. Be too available and you become background noise. Be too distant and you become a stranger. But dance between those poles with confidence and you become unforgettable." This is the power of controlled contrast. This is Old Stoic wisdom in modern love. Control the emotional landscape and you command the attraction. Because attraction doesn't grow in comfort, it ignites in emotion, in energy, in unpredictability. And here's the deeper secret. You don't need to fake anything. You don't need to become a character. You only need to become a man who doesn't fear emotional terrain. You lead it. You navigate it. You own it. That's what separates the average man from the magnetic one. If you want to be remembered, don't just be peaceful, be powerful. Be the calm before the storm, and the storm that makes her feel alive. And if you agree with this, drop a comment right now. I create contrast, not confusion. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more ancient wisdom made modern. Share this with a man who needs to hear it. And remember, peace without power is boring. You were born to lead with both. 4. How a man's tone controls her mind. Her ears don't just listen to words, they scan for certainty, energy, and intent. A man's voice is not merely a tool of communication. It's a silent declaration of who he is, its presence, its power, its control, not through force, but through calm authority. When a man speaks with slow, grounded rhythm, her nervous system reacts before her conscious mind even has a chance to catch up. She doesn't analyze, it just happens. Something stirs deep within her. That's the difference between noise and presence. Science backs it too. The University of Aberdeen found that women are subconsciously drawn to lower-pitched male voices. Why? Because deep tones suggest strength, stability, and confidence. They signal leadership, not desperation. They hint at protection, not performance. But let's go deeper, because it's not just the pitch that matters. It's the cadence, the weight behind the words. Speak too fast and you sound insecure. Speak too slow and you seem unsure. But when you speak with poise, like a seasoned general addressing his men, you don't demand attention. You own it. Think of Clint Eastwood. Think of James Bond. They don't rush. They speak. They pause. And in that pause, tension rises. That space between sentences, that silence, is where attraction lives. As the great Epictetus once said, "Nature gave man one tongue but 2 ears, that we may hear twice as much as we speak." The Stoic man embraces this truth. He knows that silence, used wisely, isn't absence. It's power. He doesn't fill space to avoid discomfort. He creates space that commands presence. That moment before you answer, that beat of composed delay, becomes the very thing she leans into. Because she's not just hearing you, she's feeling you. A composed man doesn't chase validation with his voice. He radiates it. And that resonance lingers in her mind far longer than any fancy words ever could. In today's noisy, fast-talking world, your voice can either be static or signal. Don't just speak to be heard. Speak to be felt. Speak less, but with intention. Let your tone carry the strength of your soul. Because when you master the weight of your voice, you don't need to raise it. You become the silence that draws the world in. So brothers, take a moment to reflect. How are you using your voice? Are you just filling the air, or are you shaping the energy in the room? Drop your answer below and share this with a fellow man who needs to reclaim his presence. Comment now. My voice is calm, strong, and unforgettable. Let that be your daily reminder. You don't need to speak louder, just speak with more weight. 5. The hidden effect of jealousy. The hidden effect of jealousy is one of the most potent yet underestimated forces in the realm of attraction, not because it's manipulative, but because it's rooted in how human psychology actually works. Desire, as ancient Stoics observed, is not born merely in the senses. It is stirred by perception, status, and the unspoken language of social value. You see, a woman may already have a flicker of interest in you, but when she sees other women subtly noticing you, her instincts awaken on a primal level. As Robert Cialdini, a renowned psychologist, pointed out in his Principle of Social Proof, we don't just decide what we want, we often follow the cues of what others are drawn to. This isn't limited to women. It's human nature. But in the arena of male-female dynamics, it becomes especially evident. High-value men don't prove their worth with loud declarations or desperate gestures. They allow the world to recognize their worth through presence, direction, and composure. They are not defined by words, but by the way others, especially women, react to them. And this is where most men get it wrong. They believe that by showering a woman with undivided attention, they show loyalty. But in reality, they risk signaling that they have no other options. A man who clings too tightly often appears needy, and in the economy of desire, neediness depreciates value. Now, this isn't a call to play games or become manipulative. It's about embodying self-respect and recognizing the nature of attraction. When a woman realizes that you are not dependent on her validation, that you have purpose, peace, and options, her perception of you deepens. She begins to see you not just as someone available, but as someone valuable. Not because you flaunt attention from others, but because you don't need to. You become the man whose silence speaks louder than flattery, whose calm presence makes others lean in. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. So let your thoughts be anchored in self-worth, not desperation. Your magnetism is born from how you carry yourself when no one is watching, and how you never chase what should be naturally drawn to you. If you've ever noticed her attitude shift, when another woman gave you a second glance, that wasn't just coincidence, it was instinct. So stand firm in who you are. Be the man she knows others quietly respect. The man who doesn't chase because he doesn't have to. And if this message stirred something in you, drop a comment below. I don't chase, I attract. Let the world hear the quiet confidence of a man who knows his worth. 6. The sweet spot of tension. The sweet spot of tension is not a tactic, it's a principle. Most men, driven by impulse, move too fast. The moment they feel a spark, they chase it like a man drowning in desire. They confess too early, push for labels, try to lock her down before she's even had time to feel the depth of connection. And just like that, they kill the very thing they were trying to build. Mystery evaporates. Desire dies. Why? Because attraction isn't born in certainty. It thrives in tension, in the slow burn, in the sacred pause of not yet. Remember this. Anticipation is the soul of seduction. Just like a great film doesn't captivate you with the ending, but with the build-up, the suspense, the silence, the subtle glances, so too does a woman's desire bloom in the unknown. She doesn't want the full story up front. She wants to feel like she's unraveling a man layer by layer. That discovery, that's the fire. And when a man rushes, when he lays himself bare too soon, he robs her of that experience. She doesn't feel swept away, she feels cornered. Predictable. Flat. Marcus Aurelius once said, "How much time he saves who does not look to see what his neighbour says, does, or thinks." The Stoic man applies this inwardly. He doesn't chase validation. He doesn't overshare. He holds his presence with poise. He understands that real connection has rhythm. He lets silence do its work. He lets curiosity ferment. He creates anticipation without playing games. When a woman feels like she's discovering a new piece of you each time, her interest doesn't fade, it intensifies. This is not about manipulation. It's about value. Because what's easy to get is easy to forget. And what unfolds slowly becomes unforgettable. You are not a sales pitch. You are a story worth reading page by page. So stop rushing to the ending. Let her feel the weight of each chapter. Let her lean in to listen. Let her earn access to the deeper layers of you. That is power. That is presence. That is Stoicism applied to love. If this message hits home, then like this video, subscribe for more ancient wisdom remastered for modern men, and drop this in the comments below. I am the man she wants to figure out. Let her wonder, let her wait, because the man who can master the art of timing becomes unforgettable. If this hit home, like the video and subscribe. Mystery builds desire. Let her lean in. 7. The fantasy effect. Attraction, at its core, is not rooted in the visible, it lives in the unseen, in the echoes of a man's presence after he's gone. What ignites deep desire in a woman isn't always what's spoken, but what's left unsaid. A true Stoic understands that words may spark interest, but silence, when used with intent, creates obsession. She doesn't just miss your voice, she replays your pauses, your restraint, your calm certainty. She doesn't merely fall for your touch, she falls for the feeling you leave behind when you walk away. This is the fantasy effect, the mental territory you occupy in her mind long after you've left the room. And contrary to popular belief, this isn't reserved for celebrities or high-status men. It's available to any man who masters his emotional energy and creates space for her imagination. Women often fall for the illusion, for the mystery that invites them to fill in the blanks. The strongest love is the love that can demonstrate its fragility, wrote Paulo Coelho, and part of that fragility lies in not giving everything away. The average man tries too hard. He explains too much. He crushes mystery under the weight of unnecessary words. But the Stoic man, he understands that less is more. Restraint is power, and mystery is not a game. It is discipline. It is strength in silence, not as a void, but as a mirror that lets her see her own emotions reflected back. In modern life, where everything is instant, what stands out most is the man who doesn't rush to reveal himself. The one who is confident enough to let her sit with her curiosity, not to manipulate, but to make space for genuine emotional attachment to grow. Don't seek to be understood instantly, seek to be felt deeply, because true magnetism lies in your absence becoming more powerful than your presence ever was. So next time you're tempted to overshare, pause and remember, the less she knows, the more she feels. Comment below, I don't chase. I let my silence speak. If this resonates with you, like this video, subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and share your thoughts. How do you create space for her imagination to do the work? 8. The authority effect. The authority effect is one of the most misunderstood truths in the modern world, yet it's the very axis around which deep female attraction quietly spins. While many women may say they want an equal, and they absolutely do, what reaches beyond the surface and grabs her core is not equality in energy, but polarity in direction. A man who knows where he's going, who speaks less but with clarity, and who makes decisions without trembling under doubt, triggers something primal inside her, an instinct that craves stability, certainty, and calm leadership. Leadership here isn't about barking orders or controlling her, it's about being rooted in purpose. As the old Stoics taught, he who is brave is free, and freedom comes from inner mastery, not external dominance. In real life, that means you don't ask for permission to be. You don't constantly seek validation. Instead, you live from intention, not reaction. Women aren't attracted to hesitation. They're magnetized by decisiveness. That's why she'll test you, not because she wants conflict, but because she wants confirmation. She wants to feel your frame is stronger than the chaos of life. When you become the man who second-guesses himself, over-explains, or puts her in charge of every move, you unknowingly shift her into the masculine role, and slowly, her desire wanes. A Stoic doesn't ask, "Is it okay if I lead?" He simply leads, with respect, not ego, with calm, not neediness. As Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. In relationships, that means holding your vision, setting your course, and inviting her to walk beside you, not drag you forward. If she senses you're anchored in your own truth, her respect grows, and where there is respect, attraction deepens. So be the man whose silence speaks louder than noise. Be the man who walks first, not to dominate, but to guide. And she will follow, not out of submission, but out of trust. Because every woman, deep down, respects a man who knows who he is and where he's going. And if this resonates with you, drop a comment below. I lead with calm authority. Let's see how many real men still walk the ancient path. 9. The emotional drug. She'll tell you she wants peace. She'll swear she desires a relationship free of drama. And she means it on the surface. But underneath that calm request lies a hidden craving that few men understand. Because peace alone doesn't move her. It doesn't light the fire. What she truly craves deep in her feminine nature is emotional contrast. Not chaos, not instability, but tension and release. Fire and calm, a rhythm of feeling that awakens her soul. Just like a song needs highs and lows to captivate the ear, a woman needs emotional shifts to stay drawn to a man. Predictability might make her feel secure, but it won't make her pulse quicken. That's why a man who's always available, always agreeable, always trying to please, becomes invisible. The Stoic man, however, moves differently. He doesn't chase. He doesn't dance for validation. He operates with presence, with control, with intentional mystery. He knows that women don't fall for logic. They fall for energy, emotional energy. He stirs her without a word. He builds suspense with silence. He plays with distance without fear. Like Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength is what makes her feel. That restraint is what makes her lean in. A playful smirk, a gaze that lingers just a second longer than expected. A challenge delivered with calm poise. These moments, they're electric. They're what she replays in her mind late at night. Because you're not trying to create drama, you're creating gravity. And gravity pulls. It pulls her towards something rare, something powerful, something unforgettable. So if you're done being predictable and ready to be the man who moves her soul, not just her body, comment and subscribe now. And comment below this truth. She feels my presence even in my silence. Because when you master emotional rhythm, you no longer chase her attention. You become the storm she never saw coming. 10. The submissive trigger. The submissive trigger is not what the average man thinks it is. It's not about barking orders, overpowering her spirit, or using bravado to force compliance. No, it's far deeper than that. This trigger is psychological, ancient, and rooted in the core of emotional polarity. Even the most powerful, independent woman, the type who commands boardrooms, makes her own money, and doesn't need validation, still craves a space where she can safely surrender. Not to control, not to a dictator, but to a man who leads himself first, a man who moves like a mountain, calm, unbothered, certain. A lion doesn't need to roar to remind others he's king, as the old proverb goes. When a man walks in quiet authority, when his energy is grounded, unreactive, and free from the need to prove himself, she feels it. She may not understand it consciously, but her body does. She relaxes into him, not because he demands submission, but because he gives her something to trust. Presence, direction, boundaries that are felt, not enforced. His posture tells a story, his tone tells a story, and more than that, his silence speaks volumes. That's the Stoic edge. He leads without effort. He influences without noise. In his stillness, she finds relief. In his presence, she finds freedom. Not the kind that screams rebellion, but the kind that whispers, "You're safe now." And in that moment, she releases control, not because she's weak, but because she finally feels the strength of someone who won't collapse under her storms. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." Apply that here. Lead unlike the weak men who seek submission through fear. Instead, become the man whose very presence makes her choose surrender. Gentlemen, if you've ever noticed a woman suddenly softening around you without explanation, that's this trigger at work. Comment below. My calm is stronger than force. Let us know, have you seen this effect in action? And remember, you don't need to chase respect. You embody it. All right, my friend. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. Remember this. The real power isn't in chasing women or playing games. It's in understanding the deeper psychology that drives attraction. Stay calm, observe more than you speak, and never let your emotions lead the way. Women respond to strength that's quiet, confident, and consistent. If today's message hit home, tap that like button, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and don't miss the next video. It's waiting for you right now on your screen. And it goes even deeper into the real secrets most men will never learn. I'll see you there. Stay solid, stay wise, and above all, stay in control.